So this is your 90-year-old self talking to your current present self. Okay? You tell your present self, okay, live above your fears, okay? The future is bright. Make your plans early and follow it through with vigor. That's authority. What else? Be more focused. Take more bold steps. I would tell my present self, try everything you desire to do away with your fears, and don't let them hold you back, okay? Set a goal. Everything is going to be all right. Okay. Omi says, don't be afraid to launch, try new things. The world eventually aligns with your vision if you stay focused, okay? Fear makes you small, aspirations and be fearless. Consistency is very important, okay? Don't be afraid and have fun. Focus on your strength. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, keep it coming, keep it coming. I think we still have more people in the room. All right. Shola said consistency is very important. If you want to, I didn't get that, to have results, okay, I would tell myself to be more frugal with my spending. Okay, everyone else, do it afraid, okay? Additional. Okay, do it afraid. All right, 2 more. All right, okay. Let's see, profit first. I like that. Sounds like the title of a book, okay? To structure your organization in such a way that it does not depend solely on you. It's at old age, you will not be able to do what you're doing right now. Excellent, good one. Profit first, your happiness always is always yours to give and enjoy. Aisha said, thank you all very much. That's brilliant. Get some workplace experience before setting out or something. Okay, some entrepreneur. Lighter, get more organized, be focused, and you are much more than you imagine. Don't be afraid to launch. Do not procrastinate, Lillian says. Carry out your ideas as it comes to you. Fantastic. Okay. So now this exercise is powerful because everything you have said is that your 90-year-old self, filled with wisdom, and everything you have said there. You need to make a note of it because that's actually what you need to be doing right now. Okay, so today, we're going to take quite some bit of time to look at business strategy in a challenging economy. And if we do have time left, we can look at solving the people problem in our business. So I can give us a framework for thinking through people problem in our business. And I would like this to be as interactive as possible. And to get a chance to, just a second, okay. And then to get a chance to work with maybe a couple of you practically during the session. So you can use the chat and type in messages as we go. And then at some point, I'm going to be calling for maybe someone to be on the hot seat so that we can make what we're talking about practical. Because I'm aware that many of you are at different stages in your business journey. And then so there's this delicate balance of advanced content with what everyone can find very useful. And then your interaction with me will help me to do that delicate balance. Okay. Just let me know if my slide is changing because I've had some strange experiences in the recent times, with Zoom. Did my slide change? Can you see where I am in a hard economy?
Yes, it can.
All right. So when it stops, I hope it doesn't stop. But if it does, as I'm talking just now, I'm speaking to a slide. So when you're no longer seeing what I'm speaking, just let me know because it means that the slide is not changing. And then the second thing is where I am, electricity is not very, very stable. It's just a miracle that we just had it before this time. So if in the middle of our conversation tonight, it just goes off, don't panic. We're in Nigeria, don't panic. We can just, have like 2-3 minutes, and then I'll turn on the generator, and then we keep going. Okay, so in a hard economy, stick to the fundamentals. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to log in on my phone as well. I didn't connect my second screen this time, so I'll be able to see your responses on the chat. So if you just give me a second, I will also log on here. And okay. Okay, join. All right. Thanks, host, for letting me in. No problem if you couldn't let me in. All right. Okay. So let me say, I can say no audio, right? Okay, got it. So what I want to do is look at the chat. Good, that works. Okay, so there are 5 key things I want you to do in this hard economy, you know. So 5 things, but that hard economy, I am putting hard with the quotes, because you're going to see the reason why, you know, just very shortly. But the first thing is, when the business environment is tough, by all means, stick to the fundamentals. Stick to the fundamentals. This is something I would suggest that you actually write it boldly, print it out boldly, and paste before you. For the rest of this year, anywhere in your office, when you lift your head, you should see stick to the fundamentals written there. Okay, and I'm going to expand on that a little bit more. Okay, then the second thing is to control closely. All right, internal control your processes closely. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. Okay, then manage your organizational energy, because that's all you have, really. And then in very difficult times, you don't want to waste energy or mismanage energy, because your energy is directly tied to the value that you create as an organization, as a business. Manage your emotions. You may get everything right, but if you don't manage your emotions, if you don't self-regulate, you can destroy everything that you have built. Just one moment of indiscretion. All right. And of course, be resilient. That one needs no explaining. Be resilient, because these two will pass, as I'm going to show you shortly. All right. So with regards to sticking to the fundamentals. So what are the fundamentals of business? Okay, whether you're running a school, or you're running a retail pharmacy, or you are, okay, looks like my video is off. I'm not sure why that happened. Okay, that's strange. Okay, all right. So whatever your business is, there are certain fundamentals, and these become extremely important in very challenging economy. All right, so the number one fundamental in business is the customer. If you do not have a customer, or if you don't have customers, you do not have business. So it's a fundamental to constantly create customers. And one of the things that, you know, as I'm talking, you know, so some of these strategies will, you know, don't be distracted by the slides, because the slides just guide me. Many times the insights actually come from what I'm saying, you know, talking of the slides. One of the most or the smartest models or things you can do, you know, for your business at this time, that's also something that we're trying to implement in my own business, is to build a subscription income. Sorry, there's too much dust here. Okay, so to build a subscription economy. All right. If during hard times, you do have a database of customers, of people who have been doing business with you, coming into the store, consulting with you, consuming your services, and then you have a database of these people, and you are able to create some kind of membership or subscription economy. It does not matter how hard the economy is. If you make customers, who would always do business with you. So the fundamental is customer, because so all these things here are called fundamentals because your company cannot exist without them. If you look at everything here, there's none. So these are pillars of business. So in very challenging economy, pay attention to this, right? Pay attention to your employees, because they are the ones who are going to be creating the value, all right? Pay attention to your brand, to your value, the value that you're creating, delivering, and capturing, for the customer. Because sometimes, like what happened in 2020, the global pandemic, value shifted in many ways, okay? The value chain shifted. Customer needs shifted. And so many things that certain organizations used to do before, they can't do now. New values have opened up, all right? Like new employee values include something like working from home, which didn't exist that much before 2020. So follow the value. The value is fundamental. Your company cannot exist without the value that you create, you deliver, and capture. The fourth fundamental in business for very difficult times is cash flow. And that is self-explanatory, because the day that your business runs out of cash, that is the day that you quit business. And your cash flow is a very sensitive target of difficult times. It is one of the places that are very, very, that are hit first, cash flow. Because in some of your businesses, the consumer purchasing power has lowered, has come down, has depressed a little bit. And then if the company panics as well, and then the market is panicking, then it starts affecting your cash flow. So many businesses were wiped out in 2020 and 2021, just like wiped out because they no longer had cash flow. Because cash flow, as we say, is a circulatory system of your business. It's the blood of your business. And then sometimes, hard times also, in fact, everything here, hard times, difficult economy attacks everything here. If you look at it, they really attack everything here. So that's why you need to make sure you stick to them and that you defend these fundamentals, defend your cash flow. The other thing is adaptive leadership. Adaptive leadership, in layman's term, is the kind of leadership that focuses on solving adaptive challenges, adaptive problems. There are two kinds of problems in business. So you have adaptive problems or adaptive challenges, and then you also have technical challenges. Technical challenges are easy to solve. They are challenges that already have known solutions. They are easy to solve. Sometimes just to have an expert, to consult an expert, and then to implement that solution. But adaptive challenges are new. Hard times bring with them lots of adaptive challenges. And then a perfect example of adaptive challenge that most businesses are facing right now is the fact that people are moving, talents are shifting, talents are leaving the country in droves. It's an adaptive problem. because some of the people, your best workers, your best staff have relocated to Canada, to UK, or to America. It presents an adaptive challenge, a problem that you haven't experienced before, a problem that no one has solved before, and then say this is the formula for solving that problem. So that is adaptive leadership. It is critical in the time of a hardship, okay, for businesses. The other one is alignment with your mission. What I've observed in many of your businesses and many of the businesses here, because I have been in this space for over a decade, so I've met literally hundreds, if not thousands of businesses I've worked with directly and then indirectly. Many businesses do not have a mission statement. And the mission statement that they wrote there is just something that maybe the founder or somebody, just crafted. But mission statement is perhaps the most powerful asset of the organization, of the company, especially in difficult economy. It is your mission that will help you to go through hard times. Because your mission is much more than, you don't just open business to make money. If that is why you open the business, that business will not last long, because money is not a very sustainable reason to open a business. So the mission goes beyond money. Now, because it is your mission statement that defines the reason why you exist as an organization. Therefore, when the economy is hard, the mission is changeless, because that's why you exist. And the mission defines the people you serve. And because the people you serve will still be there, they are still part of their hard times. So your company also needs to continue to create value for them. Your mission also defines and includes the outcome, the impact that you create in the world as a result of what you do. And so it's a very, very important tool, asset for your organization to thrive in very difficult times. And the mission, your mission, is the central organizing principle of all your operations, of all your activities in your organization. Therefore, when things are hard, every activity must be seen and must be passed through the crucible of the mission. Is it aligned, with the mission of the organization? Okay. Mission also encapsulates your values as an organization. You don't want to violate your value because of hard times. You don't say, okay, because of hard times, if your value, for instance, you say integrity, or you say tell the truth at all times, and then things are very hard, then you start compromising on that value, then you're not going to do well. So you stick to the fundamentals, and then mission is fundamental. And then organizational culture is also a very, very important pillar. The way that you do things in your organization, the culture that has helped you to become successful will also guide you through the times of hardship. All right. So, okay, some interaction. Type in the chat. All right. Which of these fundamentals do you is shaky in your business right now? Which of these fundamentals is shaky, is not balanced, is trying to recover, or is actually under attack right now by the bad economy? So I'm going to pause for 2 minutes, and then I'd like everyone to type in here. So all these 7 fundamentals, which one are you? Talk about the one you are strong in, and talk about the one you're actually very, very weak on right now. Okay. Actually, talk about the weakest one. All right. I've seen cash flow from Lillian. Which other fundamental is shaky in your business right now? Everybody, type cash flow. Which other fundamental? Staffing. Okay. People, adaptive leadership. Okay. The customer. Absolutely. Employee, cash flow, and employees. Employees. Looks like we really have to do something about employees. We have to do something about employees. maybe this month's business dinner. All right. Okay. Kafia talked about organizational culture. Yeah, I can understand that. And then so many businesses actually have difficulty defining their organizational culture. So often the thing just develops on its own. People just come and then the culture of anyhow. But it's actually a process of developing organizational culture. And then over the next couple of months, I will take us through that process. That's why when you join Shell, they give you their culture document, which they call Shell's General Business Principles. And in Chevron, we had what we call the Chevron way. It was captured, you know, in one infographic, I think of 7 bullets. All right. Okay. Cash flow, mission, employees. Interesting. All right. Okay. We'll come back and talk about employees. It's literally all over the place. Okay. We'll come back and talk about employees. All right. Thank you for that feedback. Okay. Now, adaptive leadership. Many of us are very familiar with, you know, this brilliant tool by McKinsey. It's commonly called the McKinsey 7XS. Okay. So adaptive leadership is a balancing act between the 7 S's. So when you as a business leader, you know, go to office, you know, these are the things that run at the back of your mind, you know, just balancing these things as the storms are hitting your business and things like, you know, just make sure, you know, because when you look at it, all these S's are literally the infrastructure, if not the substructure of your business, of your retail business, of your real estate business, of your school business. This is the essential substructure and infrastructure, you know. So with the shared values in the middle, it is the shared values, all these things are connected. It's the shared values that will keep your employees together. Because if there's anything you really want when things are hard and when the economy is hard, is to have employees, you know, who are knit by the same shared values. And then the interesting thing is that your mission is developed from your shared values. Okay, so the shared values of the organization are important inputs to developing your mission. So, and then the secret is this, you know, now that we're talking about employees, you want to, when you have a very strong mission as an organization, you see yourself as not recruiting employees, but recruiting missionaries. And a missionary is basically someone on a mission. So when you don't have a well-crafted and powerful mission as a company, then people are just coming in as employees, and they're very different. You know, having a missionary versus having somebody, you know, who just comes to work because the person needs, like they say, to keep body and soul together. The person is just there to work for monthly salary versus someone who actually wakes up every morning and is coming to your office because they're coming for a mission. And this is why many employees do not stay, because you do not have a very compelling, very powerful, very memorable mission that people want to identify with. So they just come there for salary. But you really want to stop employing people who are coming for salary and start employing people who are on a mission. But you see, you can't employ people who are on a mission if you do not have a powerful mission. If there's one thing you really must take away from this evening, is the importance of developing a powerful mission statement. And then for many, some of you here that I've worked with, you know, we have gone through that process of crafting a mission statement. It's very intense, it's very gruesome, but it's critical. And almost everywhere that we have developed mission statements, that people, you know, jump, because it's like you unlock a whole new level of consciousness for the people working there. And you, as the CEO, must constantly drum this mission, bring this mission into the awareness, into the conversations every day in the company. Do everything possible to convert your employees to missionaries. Because missionaries are committed. Missionaries who stay. Missionaries are there on a mission. But if you're just employing for salaries and things like that, then it doesn't quite work very well. Okay. Do you find this thought helpful? Just type in the chat. Let me know. Do you find this particular thought about developing missionaries helpful? Type in the chat. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's really what it is. You know, that's one way to start addressing your employee-related issues. The reason many people are leaving your company is because your vision and your mission is too small. And it is not engaging. I just don't want to come into your pharmacy to be, you know, a pharmacist or something. I want to do something meaningful with my life. I want to engage with something that's really powerful, that's important. And so your company has to be that place, you know. Don't look at your company like a place, you know. Just look at it like a platform where people come and they explode because they identify with the mission of the organization. Okay. Another fundamental, okay, well, you know, we talk about value creation, value delivery, and you know, value capture. This is the business model canvas. And if you are not familiar with the business model canvas, in fact, what will happen, okay, Williams, if you make a note, we will send, let's send the business model canvas to, make a note, let's send it to the WhatsApp group, okay? And I would typically suggest that you print this out as an A0 or larger, what's this printing? The same thing that they used to print the banner, okay? So you print them out and have conversations as things that, now the business model canvas is a brilliant tool that captures all the aspects of your business on one page. So everything from who you serve, the customers you serve, your value proposition, your competitive advantages, okay, your operations, your distribution channels, the way you communicate with the customer, with the market, your cost structure, the things driving your costs, and then how you make money, all the revenue streams. You see everything on one page. This is very powerful. And a business model canvas, I would recommend that you and your senior team have a conversation around your business model at least once. So that's what I'm saying. You need to print very large, you know, large format of this document. Okay, Williams is going to send it to the WhatsApp group. All right. Then have conversations around it at least once every month. This is going to keep you focused. It's a fundamental. This is going to keep you focused. Now you're going to be asking because for instance, you might want to start a new branch. You want to create a business model canvas, a business model for that particular branch. Who are we going to be serving there? Who are the customer segments? So a particular branch might be serving mostly students because there is a university there, there is a polytechnic there, there is a college of education, and they're all within the same the same town. And so it's going to serve different people from the one that you have in Lekki Phase 1. So you don't want to use the business model of Lekki Phase 1 at Ajegunle. You don't want to use the business model of Ajegunle in Ikeja because all these inputs are different. The value proposition for the people who live in that Ajegunle might be very different from the value proposition of the people who live in Ikoyi. For instance, the value proposition for the people who live in Ikoyi might be, you know, convenience, might be home delivery, you know, they need medication, might be the convenience of sitting on their laptop, on their computer, and ordering for a particular product, from your pharmacy, and then having it delivered. And they don't mind paying for it. They don't mind paying 5,000 or 10,000 naira for that delivery. But the gentleman in Jegunle, wouldn't want to pay that. He just wants to walk in there and then get it. So now this business model canvas helps you, to plan your game. All right. And then we'll talk about crafting strategy just in a little bit. But my strongest recommendation is don't start crafting strategy until you have gone through your business model workshop. When I come to work with the organization, we don't just start crafting strategy. We spend time. We spend time grueling on this. Now, the powerful thing about this is that it actually reveals your business to you. I guarantee you that many of you here don't even know your business. You don't even understand your business. You've been in business for 15 years, for 20 years. You do not understand your business. How do I know? Because many times I've gone through business model workshop with clients, and at the end of it, they're like, whoa, we don't understand. I never understood my business. And then you see, because you've been carrying everything in your head. All right. But then when you develop this business model canvas, it actually helps you to see everything. The other powerful thing about it is it gives you a common language for everybody in your organization. Now, when you talk about a customer, everybody knows the same thing. It knows what you're talking about the particular customer, And so this is really very, very powerful, fundamental for hard times. So I've been giving you tools for running your business profitably in difficult times. But there's more. Whether in good times or bad times, this is how money is made. Okay, these are the 4 trigger points of money. Anytime these triggers run, money is made. Whether you're in a service business or you're in a product business or you're in manufacturing. So there's always that ideal customer. All right, who is that? Your customer, hot customer, has a specific problem that you solve uniquely. There's always the customer is the first thing. Then the second thing is offer. Offer is different from product. A product can be offer, but offer is not necessarily a product. But a product is an offer. A service is an offer, but an offer is not necessarily a product. So for some of you running retail pharmacy, for instance, so people just come and then they buy, the analgesic, or they buy the antibiotics prescribed for them, or they buy all that. Now, those are products. But you might decide that, okay, this season, maybe during Valentine's season, you might have a Valentine offer, all right, for people who come into that place. I don't know how you can do your offer. You combine your products with, say, a service, like you buy something that's worth 10,000 naira, and then you get a free health assessment, a free heart status assessment or something like that. So that becomes an offer. So you create an offer to address the different elements of the customer's journey and use of your product. The customer's journey and the customer's use of your product. You develop offer around it. Why? Because when you buy a product, it comes with a problem. When you buy a product or a service, it comes with its own problem. All right. So if you visualize all the, for instance, so I have this bottle of water. That's a very good example. So let you know that it's not kai kai. Okay, because if it's kai and I did that, I'll slip off before I finish, or I start slurring I start doing blah 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 blue blue. So this is water. Now, this bottle of water comes with its own problem. What's the problem associated with this? So when I buy that as a customer, type in the chat, what's the problem associated with this product? Okay, so I buy this product. What problem does it come with for me? Type in the chat, somebody. Exactly. Yeah. Disposal of the bottle. And there may even be other problems that come with it, apart from disposal of the bottle. What other problem might come from it, apart from disposal of the bottle? That's a very brilliant answer. What other problem, apart from the disposal, even before the disposal? Frequent urination. Absolutely. Okay, storage. Exactly. This is brilliant. Yeah, you guys are flowing. Yep, storage. All right. And I was in a certain African country, and there's this particular water. Okay, keeping it cool. Absolutely. Keeping it cool. Probably that's brilliant. Yeah. Now, so and they had this water. They had this water that they gave out in the conference. And I discovered that it's
just money that remains.
Olushola, what's that? Okay. Okay, so I discovered that the females, the ladies in the room, could hardly open it. Has anybody had that experience? Or like ladies in the room here? So whenever they gave us water, I always had the lady sitting nearby say, please, could you help me open this? Because this was too tight. All right. So an offer says, the offer anticipates all the challenges that come with this product, and then they bundle something, the service around it. All right. Because I could also spill it. I could also spill the water as I'm drinking. So it could spill on my conference dress or something. So an offer could be, for instance, from the things you've typed in the chat. So I combine this water with maybe something that keeps it. Architect Innocent, please mute. Okay, so maybe something that keeps it cool, or I serve it cool. Please, could you mute him? Innocent? All right, please, could you mute? All right, thank you. Excuse me. So I could have that. I could also sell this with a serviette, with a really beautiful serviette, so that if I drink and then it spills, something I can do with. So that's what an offer does. All right. So every product is an offer, but offer is not necessarily just one product or product. The offer says the product plus, okay? The product plus, maybe some services or some other products, complementary products that address specific challenges that the customer has. There's then a clear sales message. The biggest problem that many businesses make during hard times is to stop marketing, to lower their marketing budget. But you see, your sales message connects your offer to the customer, to the marketplace. And then finally, you need a reliable traffic source, even if it's a, what do they call it? Is it mom and pop store or something, physical store? Like one of you told me on Saturday, because the location of your store is affecting your business because it doesn't generate enough foot traffic. All right. So this is how money is made. So whether it is good times or bad times, make sure you protect this money-making engine. Again, during hard times, business challenges never change. Okay. they never change. All the things you've put here as where your business is facing some challenges, where your businesses need some help, they are the same thing. Even in the booming economy, you still have people problem. You still have cash flow problem. So if you look at all the challenges you put there, the first set of problems are people problems, all right? So most business problems are people problems in disguise. And if you could solve the people issues in your company, if only you could solve them, you will eliminate 90-something% of all your challenges. And solving the people problem starts with you. And so that's why on Saturday, we focused a lot on leadership. We focused exclusively on leadership and starting with self-leadership. And then the second group or category of problems in every business is selling problems, okay? You don't know when or from where that the next sale is coming from, all right? And then if you can't sell, you know, the business will fail. Businesses fail because there's no selling going on, at least profitable selling. That's a different conversation because you can be losing money with every sale if you don't understand your cost drivers in your business. And then the answer to all these challenges, the answer is leadership. Okay, we talked about controlling closely, and basically what this reflects is what the military calls after action review. You are constantly looking at the things going on in your business, getting feedback like on a daily basis, okay? What's working, what's not working. There's the input, there's your process, which processes are broken, which processes need adjusting because things have changed. You're still running the same process you were running 5, 6, 7 years ago. When the music is like the music has changed from reggae to hip hop, but you're still dancing reggae. So you have to control very closely, monitor the inputs, your processes, your output, and then constantly generate feedback. What's working, what's not working. Manage your energy, all right? You focus on only high yield activities. So you really want to sit down and ask yourself, what are the 5 to 7 profit producing activities in our company that we'll focus on? Because the tendency when things are hard, you know, is to be distracted. And, you know, you start focusing energies on things that look like movement, but there's no movement going on. So you want to look at that high performance zone where you're focusing on high yield activities in the organization, high yield and only high yield activities. Manage your energy very, very well. Then manage your emotions. I'm going to show you some things, okay? So everybody hang tight. It's a long... Okay, so please hang tight. It's a long ride from here, but I want to prove a point. I want to prove a very, very powerful point. So I'm going to show you newspaper headlines from 1930s, like over a period of almost 60 years, some 50-something years in the past, okay, from 1937, because that's when Ezekiel started his West African pilot. But there were headlines before then in the 1890s, which was mostly Lagos. But let's look at some headlines 1937. Now, here's your assignment. As I'm going through this, showing you these headlines, I want you to type in the chat familiar words. I will pause for just about 10 seconds on each slide. All right? Make a note, type in the chat familiar words. So familiar words, familiar phrases, familiar sentiments, okay? Okay, so I'm going to go starting from this one in 1949. Okay, familiar phrases, familiar words. That's 1949. This is 1950 something. Can you see stable economy? Can you see stable economy? 1956. Okay. This is sometime in early 1950s or mid 1950s. Right? Anything familiar? Just make notes, mental notes. You can also type in the chat. Okay. Okay. This was October 1, 1960. This was still in the 1960s. Okay. Anything oddly familiar? What words? Let's look at this one. What words are familiar? Like today, you can see probe there. Security. What else? Type in the chat, type in the chat, type in the chat. I just want to make sure you're following what we're doing. Have faith in federal government. Sabotage. Igbos in Lagos. Okay. This one's 1964. You can see Supreme Court. Stool case ends. This was 1960 something. Wasn't very clear. March 1963, 64. All markets and schools to close. Monday. Anything familiar in the East? Type in the chat. Same Monday. Come on. Can you guys, can you guys hear me? I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Oh, okay, great.
Early.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sit at home. Sit at home. This was 1960 something. Yeah. Same East. And the same Monday. Okay. Okay. Horror. Can you see that word? Probe. I see that one. Riot. Yep. Probe. Riot. Yep. Okay. Okay. Government urged to compensate failure. Detained by police. Kidnapped. Okay. What do you see here? Hopes and fears. Compensation, hopes and fears for Nigeria. Death. Okay. It's not too clear. But that last one, business, things fall apart. All right. Things fall apart. Okay. Get this one. What do you see here? Out of prison. Detainees released. Detainees released. It's 1978. Look at that, just under look at the title, just under the newspaper. What do you see there? Illegal. Can anybody else see it? This one speaks a lot. Illegal churches and mosques for demolition. Civil servants to declare trade dispute. IMF, right? Okay. Okay. What else here? loot. Right? Okay. This one. Isn't this one interesting? Yeah. Isn't this one interesting? So this was in the 70s. I think this was like 78. They said no more blackout. And then the deadline was 1986. Blackout. 90. This was, I think, 1970. 1970 something. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What's familiar here? Okay. Poor economy, blaming. Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. It's a lot. A laughing is in the news. Primary elections in the East. Plebiscite. Zik challenges our West House dissolved. Okay. So much going on here. Mm-hmm. Secession. Okay. Supreme Council. Revenue allocation. Okay. Ebri, okay, as the Ghanaians call it. Ebri, Abori. Mm-hmm. What's familiar here? Mm-hmm. Yeah, secession. Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. Secession. Supreme Council, troops, policemen quell tribal clash. All right. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Item begins. Federal troops. Explosions. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Protest. Protest. Isolate Nigeria. Yeah, or is now captured. But whether it's still captured as we speak now. People can go to war again. Who came from there? Okay. But this one. Okay. Okay, we've seen this. Mm-hmm. Papa Port. Petrol products. This was 1960 something. This was 1960s. Petroleum products. Okay. It didn't start today, right? It was the time that Wale Soyinka was declared a wanted person. This one is busy. What do you see here? Currency devaluation. 7 dangerous non-executive in Lagos. Mm-hmm. Biafra. Didn't start today. Do you see here? This was 1978. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Biafra. This was 1978. Corruption. Didn't start 1976. Anti-graft panel. All right. Yeah. Same squandering of 135 billion, mysterious disappearance of 500 million, 800 million on personal estate, expired kids go up 2 billion. Same conversation. Okay. Okay. This was 1977. This was 1977. 1977. Fuel crisis may be over next year. Okay. This is 19. I don't see that very well, but I think it was probably early 80s or something. Okay. or late 70s, 70,000 degree holders not employed. This was also in the 1970s. Employers like you complain of worst business situation. That's what we're discussing today. Okay. Troops go to market to force lower prices. Okay. Okay. Now, and these are today's, like in the past 1 week. So you have seen what I've shown you from 1937. 1937 to today. So let me stop this and look at your faces. What's going on? What's going on here? You can unmute yourself and speak. What's new? Yes.
Practically, there's nothing new. That's Lillian speaking.
Since 1937, it's exactly the same thing. If you pick up a newspaper in 1965 or 1955 and pick up a newspaper in 2023, the only thing that's going to be different are the names. But you can literally pick up in a 1965 newspaper today, change the names of the people and then the places, and it's exactly the same thing happened. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is I told you on Saturday that businesses have lasted 500, 600, 1,000 years. And I've shown you a business in Japan that has been in operation for 1,400 and something years, non-stop. And I asked you a question, a business that has been through 500 years, is there something that you are going through today in your business that these businesses have not gone through? Is there something you are complaining about in 2023 that was not there in 1937, like you've seen? Is there something you're complaining about today about unemployment, about fuel scarcity, about the cost of diesel to run your companies, about whatever, about police brutality, about NSAS? Is there something? So the reason I'm saying this is business, entrepreneurship is a calling. And you really have to see it as the unique calling that it is. And then build that. The problem is not strategy. I teach strategy in business schools, like some of you know, and some of you have sat under my classes. So the problem is not feeding you with lots of content on strategy or marketing and all that. I can do that. I've been doing that for years, but I discovered that why I'm different, why it looks like this content is not the type you usually would, is that I have taught that content, for years, and discovered that when people connect to a certain mindset, to certain foundational understanding of what's going on in the environment, strategy becomes like very easy. And all those other things, marketing, they become very easy. But you need to, first of all, have a very strong conviction about what you're doing and the importance that what you're doing actually is important and that it has some deep meaning. So having said that, yes, so there's nothing new under the sun. Okay, yes, okay. Now, having said that, So let's go into some practicals. All right, let's do a fun exercise. I did this exercise. Okay, let's do a fun exercise, and I want to see what is this fun exercise? I want to see. Okay, let's do a fun exercise. I want to see, can we put everybody in a can we run a group, co-host? Can we divide people in a group? Okay, this is a fun exercise, okay? And I would like you to understand this exercise, and I would like you to do it with your team, all right? Do it with your management team when you go to work on Monday. I'll find some time to do it with them, all right? So I developed this exercise for myself. You see, because you fight excuse with excuse. For every excuse I give myself, to fail, I find 4 excuses to succeed. And so the excuses that business leaders would typically give themselves: the economy is bad, there's serious political uncertainty, I can't access funds. You have just seen from everything I've shown you that every year, literally 1937, because that's when the earliest newspaper I had. I'm sure if we went back even beyond, it's the same thing. I remember seeing the newspaper headline of the Aba Women's Riot in 1929. The same thing, taxation. We're talking about multiple taxation problem here. In 1929, 1920s, we had serious problem with taxation. So it's always been there, and brings the point I was making to you before on Saturday, that it is not the things happening outside of you that matter, that will kill your business, but it's the way that you as a leader actually manage the things happening around you. Okay, so these are examples of excuses that we give. So I'm going to give us 5 minutes. And co-host, if you're going to be able to, so I'm going to give us 5 minutes, all right? We do that, then we can take we can have a few people share. What actually would have wanted to do is to have us in, we are 39 here, to have us like in 4 groups.
I have five in a group. Is
5,
that okay?
Okay, 5 in a group, yes. And so, but I want everybody to do it first. So we're going to take 5 minutes and do this exercise, just a fun exercise before we go into the strategy development. And I'm going to show you how to match. So let me use my own example. All right, I'm about to start a radio program since last year. And so the excuse I gave myself, the excuse to fail, is that there are too many radio shows and podcasts already. Why add one more? There are too many. And then I go online and see people doing incredible things like, 20 times, 50 times better than myself. Some people really pulling a lot of weight online and doing extremely well. Like a young man called Charles Awuzie on Facebook is doing extremely well, helping young people to change their mindset. There's Nelly, doing extremely well, helping business owners. Why add one more? See, this was the arguing for my failure. So I now said, okay, that's my excuse to fail, but these are my excuses to succeed. Number 1, it's true that there are already too many podcasts and radios, but my own is not among them. That's my number 1. So for that one excuse to fail, I have 4. Then the second one is, there are at least 1 million unconquered spaces and subject area gaps. It amazes me the kind of things people talk about, and they create incredible value in the marketplace. There's so many unconquered spaces. I'm not sure someone is addressing the many issues that teenagers are going through. I'm not sure someone is addressing the issue of suicide among professionals on radio the way I can. I'm not sure. There are so many spaces, okay? Married women, marriage, different kinds of things. There are so many spaces, okay? Number 3, there's an audience waiting desperately for my voice, for my content. I will not deny them. And then number 4, you can never tell if this will become the biggest phenomenon ever, in the history of radio. You can't tell which bird, of all the birds flying above you, you can't tell which one has eggs in his stomach. So this might be the biggest thing in history of radio. So I don't know. So can you see how my excuse to do it overwhelms my excuse, not to do it? Okay. All right. If you understand this, just say yes. Okay. Do you understand? Or any question? What you're about to do, just type yes in the chat. Let me know that you understand what we've just done. All right. So giving yourself excuse to succeed in your business. Okay. All right, good. Okay, so I want you to think about just one, all right? Just think about one excuse of something, an excuse, in your business that you typically give yourself. It could be something related to people. You can't find people, you can't find employees, you don't have lawyer, whatever it is. Just pick one excuse. And I want you to take the next 3 minutes, every single one of us, take the next 3 minutes. And I want you to find four excuses to the opposite. I call it excuse to succeed. All right, find 4 to that one. When we've done that, after 3 minutes, we can break out in the rooms, so co-hosts can put everyone in the room. And I'd like you guys to share with one another, just share your experience, and then we come back and debrief. Okay. All right, so the 3 minutes starts right now. Think about one excuse and then give 4 excuses against that one excuse. And I'll be with you shortly. Then immediately after that, after 3 minutes, co-host, you open the breakout rooms. When you enter the breakout rooms, share with one another your excuse to fail and then your excuse to succeed. And then I'll come back and then we'll move into crafting strategy for the times for your business.
The breakout rooms are open.
Contact.
Okay.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, sure. We'll hear you.
Okay. So those are the two ways I felt I could counter that excuse. I can even sit at home and do some master's program by myself, or enroll in a school nearby.
Okay.
Okay, you can bring them back, co-host. You can bring everybody back. What happened? I see some people in the main room. You didn't join.
They didn't. Some didn't.
Righty.
Everyone will be back in the next maybe 20 seconds.
All righty. Okay. Okay, everybody, welcome back. All right. So who would like to share briefly what happened in your own room? Okay, who would like to share? All right, okay. Amaomi, yes, please do. Unmute yourself and.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My group had just two people, I and Grace Mark. So for her, I'll start with her. Her reason, her one excuse to fail was the fact that there are a lot of people, she has a lot of competition in her space, a lot of people who are doing the same thing she's doing. That was her one excuse to fail. But then she also told herself that she can create a niche for herself. She can be uniquely positioned to offer things that these businesses cannot offer. These are two that stood out for me. I don't remember how the two reasons for succeeding.
Right.
For mine, my one excuse to fail was the fact that the Nigerian economy has been quite tough. It's been hitting buzzwords everywhere. But my four reasons to succeed was there are other businesses in this economy that have been posting record high sales and profit. We're seeing what MTN, Dangote, and the likes are posting, and they are in this same economy. Foreigners are seeing, my number two reason is there's something foreigners are seeing in this economy. Because we keep seeing Chinese, Indians, Americans coming in, and I'm asking, what are they seeing that we are not seeing? So there's something that is in this economy that we can still find. Then number three is we have a young demography here. One of the reasons Jackpot is a thing is because many of those clients they have an older demography, so they're looking for younger people to come in. But we have a young demography, so if I can position my business to attend to these younger people, it means we can't be in business for a long time. And my last but not the least is I don't have a backup plan. So this business must succeed, because if it fails, there's trouble. So it must succeed. So these are the four reasons I gave to succeed.
Wow, amazing. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how powerful was this exercise for you?
Oh, it was quite powerful, because one of the things I realized we did a lot last year was we gave reasons why some things were not happening. And we would just take those reasons and move on, right? But this shows that, okay, for every reason you give me four reasons why it should happen. And it just changes your mindset about the excuses you give.
Fantastic. Changes the energy. Absolutely. All right. Thank you very much, Omomi. Okay. Let's have another person. Yeah. Please raise your hand. One more person to share. Share your own or the one in your room that you heard. Who had another kind of powerful experience? I don't see any hand raised.
I can't find the hand raising button.
Okay, just speak.
It's somewhere, I can't find it. Okay, so I'm going to talk about my own. So for me, I think one of the problems I wrote down is I don't know how to set up a structure. That's the excuse. But the comeback to that is I can learn how to do it. There's so much knowledge and information out there, I can learn it. Or the second one is for quicker response, I can actually hire hire a coach or someone to help me, with the process. Then the third one is a reason to do it is a well-structured business will be a great benefit to my employees and my customers. And then the final one, a well-structured business will relieve me of stress so I can do other things. So I think those are my reasons to do, or my excuses to do, as it were. So that's mine.
Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. That's really very powerful. Okay, so I guess there may be someone else, who doesn't know how to raise their hand. So you can let's take one more, just unmute and then speak. One more person. Just unmute. If you don't know where the hand raising is, just unmute yourself if you know where the button is. Let's have one more. Yeah, go ahead, Kaede.
Okay, like for me, I looked at purchasing power of consumer are low. Then the antagonizing response to that is I shall create a new market niche that addresses such clients. I borrowed that leaf from the likes of Cowbell and Milo that, Milo used to do can, everything is in can. Cowbell came and did sachet just to meet a particular niche and they broke the market with disruption. Then I shall carve out a new niche for high net worth clients. So if some people are saying their consuming power is low, then I would rather look for that one or 1 to 10 kind of clients that can help me recover all that those low consuming power consumers are in. Then another thing is I shall expand beyond the shores of my country to relate with international clients that needs my service so that I can actually gather better foreign exchange. Then the fourth one is I have no excuse that to add value to the society, so I cannot fail.
Awesome.
Thank you.
This is fantastic. Awesome. Thank you. So that's a tool you can use, and I'd like you to also introduce your teams, to this powerful tool, because one of my friends a couple of years ago said that Africans don't solve problems, we just admire them. And I think that part of the reason that happens is that often we don't have the tools to be able to process our thoughts. But this is a very powerful one. It just totally shifts the energy away from the excuse, and then, just opens up a world of possibilities, for what you can do. Awesome. All right, good. So, yeah, how do I get rid of this again? Okay. Okay, so let's go on to, crafting strategy, all right? So I mentioned to us yesterday, on Saturday, why the strategic focus is powerful, is really important, all right? And then the strategic focus involves 3 key orders, 3 key elements. The first one is your mission. I can't emphasize that enough, all right? Who you are and why you exist. Your strategy would always connect and align with your mission. Your strategy must always align with your mission. All right. Now, the second part of it is the scope, who you serve, where do you find them? And what are the products and services, the value proposition for each of the people, each of the customer segments that you serve? That is really important. And then the third aspect of it is your competencies, your key activities. All right. What are your core competencies? What are your skills and activities? By the way, I just had a story I would like to tell here, actually, before I go here. Okay, I have a story I would like to tell, about all these things we've talked about, hard times. So one of my clients in Sierra Leone told me a very, very interesting story. All right. Sierra Leone had, excuse me, had a very prolonged period of civil war a couple of years ago. I don't remember how long that war lasted. I don't remember, maybe like 10 years. I don't remember. Now, if anybody knows or remembers, you can put it in the chat. But he said they were in business all of those years. Their businesses expanded and did even much better during the war than at this time. They had different lines of businesses, but one business that they had, which he started with his grandfather, I believe, then to his father, and then he's the one running it right now. They have bakery. They have bakery, and they are migrants. They were actually migrants, from Guinea to Sierra Leone. Now, he said the bakery business boomed so much during the war that they would drive their delivery vans to one side of the fighters, and then they will open for them to go and deliver their bread and sell their bread. Then they will go to the enemy, the opposing camp, the enemies. Those ones will also open for them, and then they will go and sell there. So as we speak, even in Ukraine, their business is thriving. Even in Afghanistan, in Sudan, in Syria, their business is thriving. There are schools running. There are businesses going on. So don't let this hard times thinking, I really want to destroy this hard times thinking, don't let it affect your business. In one of the business dinners are free. They'll be having sometime later. We'll go through a process of what does it take to run a business that will still be here 500 years after we have gone. There's a process for that. It's a process you use to develop a 300-year business plan. Okay, we'll go through that. But just know that difficult times, hard economy is no excuse. And I like, what Wumi shared with us. Other people are succeeding. So people are doing it. So why not us? So before we go to that, one of the aspects of the strategy here is the fact that you're competing against noise. Noise is really the enemy. And what do I mean by noise? If you look at it, this is, just one page of a search on real estate in Nigeria. Just see how confusing it can be. So somebody goes here, and then the person is trying to find a real estate company to deal with. This is one of, several dozens of pages that will come up. Okay, this is still real estate. All right, and then for schools, secondary schools in Nigeria. So I come in here and I'm trying to look for schools, for my children. And then I go online, so much noise, thousands upon thousands of schools, and everybody is present here, so much noise. If I go to, this another page, like 100 pages filled with this. And then if I type pharmacies in Lagos, look at the noise. Look at the noise. By the way, does any of you see their business here? Does any of you see your pharmacy here? Just type yes in the chat if so. Okay. Okay, thanks, Williams. The Sierra Leone Civil War lasted for 11 years. Yeah, for 11 years, these guys were in business, and they are still in business today. They've actually expanded. Look at pharmacists in Lagos, this is just one page of several dozens of pages. See, so much noise. Look at then pharmacists in Nigeria, several pages and pages and pages. Strategy. is what will allow you to stand up, from this noise, to stand out. Okay, so I wanted to show you this as a prelude to when we are talking about strategy, what we are talking about. So strategy is basically, how do you stand out? How do you compete against noise? How do you stand out and become a category king in what you do? How do you stand out? So there are several things that will help you to stand out, from this noise. Okay, and those things that will help you to stand out are these things. Be your strategic focus. Your mission is uniquely yours. Your scope is completely different from everybody else's scope. You might have the same products and all that, but you're serving some specific customers in a way that no one else serves them. And then, of course, your core competencies and skills. I usually have a good story to tell when I'm talking about core competencies, because you really need to identify your core competencies as a business, okay, in thinking about strategy. And so one of the companies I worked for, one of the multinationals, there was a time that the doctors decided that they weren't being treated fairly, that they typically would spend, before they became consultants, upwards of 18, 20, or even 20 something years as professionals. Meanwhile, young reservoir engineers, mechanical engineers, petroleum engineers, and all those people would come to the company and then earn as much, and then sometimes much more than what the doctors were paid. So they wanted to protest. The management quietly told them that if they made him again, if they protested, that they were going to outsource the medical. They made it very clear that this is not a hospital, it's not a health business. This was an engineer's world. This was oil and gas exploration and production. And so because the core competencies are engineering, not medicine, nothing emotional about that. So you need to know what your core competencies in your own business, what your core competencies are, because that's where you're going to dedicate energy, dedicate resources. Okay, I hope that's clear. And so strategic focus will allow you to limit waste of workforce energy. Okay? You'll allocate resources efficiently because you're focused. You will reduce process waste. And I can tell that some of you complaining about cash flow, if we look at your process wastes, you'll be amazed the kind of money that we will get, from just taking your processes and then optimizing them. All right, you'll be able to market and sell profitably, and then you will reduce employee burnout and overwhelm because you're focused. You're not, you're not spreading your energies or your forces in different directions. Okay, so there are many approaches, okay, to developing strategy. So many. All right, we can't go through all. I just want to give you a sense of how you can think about it. And then based on this, we can ask questions, all right? Because typically we spend like half a day, just working this, like if I came to your company, working through this, with the templates and things like that. So obviously that's not something we do here, but through your questions, and then possibly, if somebody wants to be on the spot and then ask specific, you can do that. But let me take you through the process. So there are 4 considerations that will help you to think through crafting a strategy or crafting strategic goals, So let's say you want to create some strategic goals for the next 5 years, the next 5 years, 3 to 5 years. 18 months to 5 years. So you consider the external environment, then you consider your own internal environment. And then you create what we call a business platform that will allow you to narrow down your strategic goals. So it starts with thinking through your external environment, analyzing your market, analyzing your competition. All right, we already talked about the noise in the marketplace, and then analyzing, who your customer is. All right, and analyzing your strategic alliances. And the reason you are doing this is to be able to understand your competitive space and to understand what's going on in the industry. You really, for instance, want to know what's going on in the industry as a whole in crafting your strategy. It's not just what's going on in that little branch, where you are at Ebute Metta. You really want to understand what's going on in the industry, because that's going to expand your view. If you plan just based on that your narrow location, then if there is some industry tsunami, it's going to take you out. And then there are some tools we typically use for understanding the environment. The best known is the PEST analysis, the political, the economic, the sociocultural, and then the technological, just understanding what's happening in that environment around you. And then what's happening in the competition. Because sometimes, if everybody, sometimes, people in one industry, businesses in one industry tend to do things in the same way. They tend to market in the same way. So you find real estate companies, everybody prints flyers, and then almost the same words. 3 bedrooms selling as a so place for 35 million. If you deposit that, and then we can give you almost the same language, everybody. And you really need to understand what's going on in the market, because you have to stand out, from that noise. And then what all of them do, basically, they print those flyers and then they go to public parks and spaces and start putting those things on the windshields of people. And then, or they put some girls, where people are coming out from, and then they're handing on those flyers. And people never really sit down to ask, how effective are these things? Do they actually work? But everybody does it because that's what everybody's doing. The second part of strategy is that you have to understand your own your own core competencies, like I've already said. Your core competencies are yours, your own, not the core competencies of the industry, say like the pharmaceutical, all right, of your company. What are the resources and capabilities you have, and what are the gaps you have? You'll find that where this becomes very important ultimately is that when you eventually select some strategic initiatives, the next important question is, do you have the resources and the capabilities to take advantage of that market? For instance, you might identify opportunity. You're based in Lagos. You might identify opportunity in Abuja to set up a branch in Abuja. But do you have the resources to be able to take advantage of that opportunity in Abuja? Because you need to set up infrastructure there. You need to recruit there. You need to do a whole lot of things. So that's why it's important to think about your internal environment and then your company processes. Then assessment. Last Saturday, we did your own personal SWOT. But this one, we're talking about the SWOT for your company, because that will allow you to identify critical success factors. So if you understand your strength, it's still the same formula. Type in the chat, what do you do to your strengths? What do you do with your weaknesses? Type in the chat. What do you do with the threats? What do you do with opportunities? It's the same thing even for businesses. Type in the chat. Let me see who remembers. What's the strategy for your strengths? And what's the strategy for your weaknesses? Exactly. You leverage your strength. Okay. What do you do to your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats? Someone else, not just you. Yeah, that's correct. Light on. You leverage. What about weakness? Anybody? What do you do to your weaknesses? Yep. Minimize weakness. What about threats and opportunities? What do you do to opportunities? Is it the chat that is taking time? Oh yeah, you develop opportunities, and what do you do to your threats? Yeah, you develop opportunities and you manage your threats. Absolutely. Fantastic. Now, because your SWOT will help you to identify critical issues. All right. So you might discover that, your weakness. If I look at some of the things that you actually wrote here, to some of the questions I've asked, you wrote things like cash flow. All right. So cash flow situation, cash flow challenges might be a weakness because it's internal. All right. Okay. Can also be a threat. Then employee challenges can come under it's a weakness or something. So these are critical issues you identify. There's cash flow, there are employee challenges, we're having retention issues, we're having difficulty paying our suppliers, we're having difficulty keeping our commitments to the employee. So you need to understand these critical issues because strategy addresses them. Now, the next part of it is looking at the options available, given the critical issues, given the resources available to you, and given the dynamics of your industry, of the retail industry. All right. What are your strategic options? So this is where you list all of the options available to you. Do you contract the number of branches? Do you expand? Do you, all kinds of options that you have, for your strategy. And then you evaluate them, and you are evaluating all these things based on your mission and your vision, where you want to go. Because if your vision includes something like, capturing Africa, all right. So your strategic options might include not contracting, but it might actually include researching your entry to other companies. Then when you've gone through this journey, excuse me, then you're able to come up with your strategic goals, right? That in the next 3 to 5 years, we want to start manufacturing. We want to do backward integration and start manufacturing some particular drugs, here in Nigeria. So that might be a strategic goal. You want to go into manufacturing. A strategic goal might be, okay, you want to build another line of product. Okay, another line of product, you develop something, and you want to develop another line of product or a revenue stream over the next 3 years or 5 years or 36 months or 18 months. So you come up with all those goals. Then you also come up with the implementation. The reason many strategic goals are not achieved is because they don't come inbuilt in them, their implementation. How do you develop implementation of strategy? I think I have a slide that can take care of that. Okay, that's a business platform we're talking about. So you not only generate that strategy, but you generate action plans. Okay, if, for instance, you say in the next 5 years, you want to start manufacturing, what are the action? That's the initiative, all right? Objective can be, let's say, you want to grow your, let's say you want to grow revenue to 20 billion naira. That might be an objective, in the next 5 years to 25 billion. Then what are the initiatives that will make that objective possible? So the initiatives can include, like we've talked about, manufacturing. So you want to do backward integration. You want to start manufacturing a certain class of drugs. Okay, that'll be one initiative. Then what are the action plans? If you want to start manufacturing in the next 5 years, what would be the action plans? So you probably want to do some preliminary research or studies or feasibility, kind of study. That's one action plan. You probably want to start looking for partnerships. Okay, you probably want to start applying for patents, things like that. So all those action plans, because if you don't do those things, strategy never gets done. So you must turn strategic objectives into initiatives. That's the key to implementing strategy. And then those initiatives, you break them down into action plan. And you actually go a little further, okay, to say this is all part of implementation. The strategic objective is, all right, we want to reach 25 billion naira in the next 5 years, our pharmaceutical company. Now, what does success look like? So what does a 25 billion naira company look like? It has to be something that, you're painting a vision of success that is very vivid and that people in your organization can connect to. So as a 25 billion naira company, we would probably be sitting on maybe some board of some industry regulator. We'll probably have 3,000 employees working with us, and then all that, what success looks like. Then what has to be true? All right. For you to become a 25 billion naira company, for instance, the market opportunity has to be there, has to support that. The market size has to support that. That one has to be true, because if you're trying to become a 25 billion naira company, it means that the market size is at least maybe 10 times that, maybe 10 times that or 20 times that, because you are not the only player in that space. Then what are the possible barriers to success? You put all those things in. What are the initiatives, and then who owns that strategic objective? So never create a strategy, okay? Never come up with strategic goals without a strategic implementation, breaking them down into initiatives and into action plan, right? And then into who owns it, into what does success, into metrics, okay? Because the implementation would naturally lead you into the balanced scorecard, because part of strategy implementation is asking the question, how do we know that we are succeeding? And then how do we know that we have succeeded? Has this been helpful? What questions do you have? And how can we make this actionable? How can I make this actionable for you? I have some things to reflect on. Would you like us to practice a little bit? Do you guys still have energy to go on? It's just about 7 minutes of the hour. Do you have some energy to go on? I'm only seeing one yes in the chat. So I'm thinking about how to make this actionable for you. does someone want to, okay, how do I make this actionable? Okay, so what you can do is, let me give you some time. Okay, let me give you some time to reflect on your strategic objectives. Let me give you some time to reflect on what you.
Please, I have a question.
Okay, I think that may help, because I'm really trying to see how I can make this come alive, you know, for you, not just to talk about it. All right, so let's go with your question. Was that Angela?
Yes, it's Angela.
All right, please go for it.
Okay, we discussed on the, when we are talking of structures, I think things that can, before we had the breakout, where we talk of economy and there are serious political uncertainty and other things.
Right.
What I'm saying, but I don't know how, I don't know, but there's something about organizations. All those things that we need to be done. Yes, we look at it as sometimes we are constrained by cash flow. Because I think I remember that we are constrained by cash flow. Because if you state under business challenges, you said manage your organizational NSG and every other thing, and you don't have the cash flow to do all those things. Because I'm looking at myself, there was a time I had a challenge, staffing challenge.
Okay.
And what was the staffing challenge? It's not that the staff can't stay, but you see that they are demanding for increased salary. At least you are paying somebody as a small business, you are paying somebody 300,000, and somebody wakes up and say, that 300,000 is not enough. Then you are like, what next can you do?
Okay.
And without staff, structures hardly come in place. It's not that you don't have those policies in place, but implementation becomes difficult. Because you are talking of segregation of duty and procedures and processes. Where are the people that are going to put up those procedures and processes? Their staff. And if you don't have that cash flow to pay those staff as what they are requesting as per salary, you are in a dilemma. In this position, in this case, what can you do?
Okay, very good question. This is how it works. Sometimes I think the problem may have been created ahead of the solution, instead of the solution ahead of the problem. So your question is a typical challenge, and it comes from HR and strategy alignment. And actually, there are two things. There's the aligning strategy with HR, and then there is also performance management. So your question borders on these two things. Now, so HR alignment with strategy. So the way it works is, okay, let me do it as two different, then we can do performance management. So the way it works, you first of all have your strategy. The challenge is many people do recruitment without having thought through strategy, first of all. Do you understand that, Angela? So often people recruit, they just recruit because maybe right now there's need. Angela, remind me again your business. You have a school? Is Angela still there?
Sorry, I muted myself.
So remind me.
I have a consulting firm.
Okay. Very
and good. We offer growth and profitability services like business management advisory services, financial advisory services. And we have a lot to do with documentation of businesses, especially small businesses. What do we do for them? We do their financials, we do their business plan. In short, we deal with growth businesses, existing business or large businesses. If you're having challenges with your accounting, documentation, tax, and everything, that's what we do. So you see us, we have a lot of clients of, oh, I don't have my accounting, I don't even know what to do. So we render monthly accounting services to every friend, all the clients. And if you are quite for financial advisory services, is like you people that are looking for funding, and we can give them access for funding, access to markets, and as that's really business advisory services, because we are equally a certified business development service providers.
Okay, very good. So now the way it works is your strategy, and then always bear in mind that your strategy has three key things: your scope, your competitive advantage, okay, what makes you, why people will come to you to do business and then not your competitors, and then what might be called the logic or the business platform. Now, it is your strategy that should drive your organizational design. And this is where a lot of people have issues, okay? Because many times, when you get business, you get like so many people coming at a particular time. You suddenly discover that you need more hands. Then you bring in the hands, the people to support, but then that business doesn't continue at that volume, because if it continues at that volume, you wouldn't have issues, paying the people. So, of course, before the strategy itself is actually the mission of the organization. So that's there's the mission, then you have your strategy, then you have your capacity planning, and then your organizational design. So sometimes you might discover that instead of bringing in a lot of hands to work in the business, that you might actually find that going into partnership and alliance, it's just like in my own business, I do something very similar to yours. People who do operate at my level, I'm not able to pay them. I'm not able to pay them at this time. And again, because the business does not come, I don't get, even though I sometimes I do get like many clients at a time. Like right now, there are really quite a number of clients, and then somebody is bringing in, somebody contacted me the other day. They want me to work with them. They just got to oil blocks, oil blocks, and then they learned I was formerly in Shell, so they're asking me to come consult for them to set up, do a business plan for them and things like that for the energy. Now, something like that comes just once in a while. So right now, instead of employing people at my level, because it's going to be very difficult, very expensive for my business, I can look for an alliance or a partnership that I can pay to be able to support me with that, because it's not a regular business. But then if I now bring in a lot of people here because I have one project, which is a project-based employment, then when that project finishes, I'm not able to pay these same people. I hope it's making sense. I'm not able to pay them again. So you really need to do your capacity planning, not just looking at short-term periods about paying these people from what you're doing. But you really need to come to ask that question. Can we really pay at that level? Can we pay competitively based on what we are charging, based on the level of the business that we are doing? Can we really pay competitively? Otherwise, how can we go into partnership until the business is stable enough to bring in people? Because like me now, I need a media team, but I'm not able to, at the level of my business right now, to get, to pay a really good media team. So you saw on Saturday, the young man that manages my media, and I pay them. And because it's a one-off thing, I can afford that. The project pays for it. So this project pays them for this instance, and I just pay them. Next time I have, like in May 6th, we have revenue hackathon. We've already hired them, as opposed to me having an in-house media organization at this stage in my business. I will not be able to pay them. I'll struggle to pay them. I hope that makes sense. So you need to look at your strategy. Based on your strategy, you look at your capacity planning, because that's what we're talking about here. All right, that's what we're talking about here. That in the internal environment, you really want to make sure you have the resources and the capabilities. Otherwise, you will struggle to do that. But then I suspect that you're already in the situation. So what you want to do now is to actually have some honest conversations, with the people. Have some honest conversations, and then tell them, like what I typically do for clients in this, when it comes to compensation and then, paying people. I believe that the people working with you should have access to everything that can make their lives comfortable. They should own a car, they should own a house, they should own, because I reason that, yeah, if Share was able to do this for me and Chevron was able to do this for me, then why should my business not be able to do it for another person? But there's a catch there. The people have to know that the money is not just there, hiding somewhere. It's got to be worked for. So I don't know what your compensation package looks like, but people, which is what takes us to performance management. All right. So people need to know that a certain level of performance in the organization, and if you are transparent about managing performance, then it won't be a problem. But people need to know that for them to enjoy a certain level of compensation, vacations in Dubai, education, whatever, all these things can happen, but they have implications on cash flow, and they have implications on the performance. So the people need to know that, okay, if we are to raise your pay from 300 to 500,000, it means that this is the level of business that we must be doing. And then it comes down to, this is what it means, for you, that if you perform at this level, then that can happen. So people need to know that. So the two conversations are around aligning your strategy with your HR. All right. So your strategy should allow you to tell, should we employ at this stage or should we outsource? Your strategy will be able to tell you at what level are we going to be able to carry a certain HR burden in this business. At what level can we do that? So I hope that helps, but I think that's a way to process that. Like, I do this one-off things. I can put full-time media person, video editor, audio editor, all these people. I can put them, all of them, on my payroll right now, because it's a project by project thing. But when they come, I pay them, and I pay them well, and I pay them handsomely. And it's much better because now I'm not employing them. So I'm not responsible for any whatever, their insurance, their health, their transportation, their whatever. So I just pay them, they do that and then go. Okay. I think that was a good question. And I hope, Angela, that helps.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Can we take any more questions? I think, so that helps me to connect directly with what you are doing. Williams, your hand is up. Was that accidental? All right. Any other questions?
I think it was accidental.
Okay. All right. So you can lower it. Okay. Aha. Okay, Charles. Yeah. Please remind us that question again? Yeah. Just let's put it in context.
Okay, I was saying that I had mentioned when people experience my business,
yeah,
they want a repeat experience. Then they refer me. So it's more compelling when they have the experience than when I just pitch it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a concern.
Mm-hmm.
How do I stimulate the same interest without experience like I already elicit after the experience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a very good problem to have. And so you basically need to deconstruct why that worked better than when. So there are a whole lot of factors. So you need to deconstruct why the referral, as it were, works better than when you actively go to pitch. There could be a lot of things. It could also be that perhaps you need to pitch differently, because the way you recruit a customer or a client will greatly affect the ongoing relationship with that customer. And then you might find that customers come to you from different sources, like they come from referral, and they come from when you pitch. So possibly you have 80 or 8 out of 10 coming from a particular source, and then only 2% coming from another source. So you need to deconstruct. There's a reason that the one that brings in 8 does that. And it's a very good thing to do in all our businesses. So this is also a process we call, lost sales analysis. And then a lot of people, when they lose the sale, they just let it go. And then when you lose a sale, like a customer or a client doesn't engage, my goodness, that's so much data, that's so much wisdom to just let go. And then a lot of us also do it, when it comes to our people management. We miss the opportunity to do exit interviews when people leave our organizations. If somebody leaves a pharmacy, do exit interview. Even if the person goes Jagba or something, still do exit interview. You can uncover a lot of data. Now, the person is going to give you a lot of, because the person has nothing to lose anymore. So they're going to give you some really reliable information. So the same way, deconstruct why this one works better in your client acquisition than the other one. Then deconstruct that your pitch, because there may be something wrong with the pitching, because pitching should work. When you pitch your business, it should work. So maybe the channel through which you pitch, maybe the messaging of the pitching, maybe you're pitching to the wrong audience. A number of things, can actually be wrong. And so you can pitch with different media. You can pitch trying a webinar. You can pitch trying instead of maybe face-to-face doesn't work as much as doing a webinar. Yeah, but generally in your kind of service, people need to experience you actually, and then get comfortable with you, because marketing is basically, all of us here in our businesses, we are marketing against skepticism. Yeah, the market skepticism, even if you have a store, a pharmacy, there's serious skepticism. And I think it's worse for the people who do the kind of thing we do, because there are so many people answering the name, out there. Everybody is a consultant, everybody is a coach, and there's so many of them out there. The noise is so much. And then people have lost so much money. I know people who have lost so much money to consultants. A client was telling me for about 2 years or something, he didn't want to, hire a coach or a consultant until he met me. And then he started telling me that they had one, they paid him so much money, but that when the guy came, it was basically, he downloaded some things from the internet, and it happens, this my client, had worked with Deloitte. So the guy just downloaded some Deloitte PowerPoint presentations and came, and there was no value, and they paid him so much. So because he had been in Deloitte for about 10 years or something, so he knew those materials. The guy couldn't even communicate the materials, but as better than he could have. So because of it, people are very skeptical. People are very skeptical. So they want to have a conversation. And that's why also content marketing is very critical for people who do what you do. Let your content be there online so people can see. And the testimonials are also very, very helpful. So people can see, can experience it, for them to get a level of comfort, because the skepticism is normal. Our fingers have all been burnt by people who promised to deliver some value to us, and then they never did. Yeah, so it's a lot of deconstruction, and then find out what can be improved, then test the different, some kind of A/B test, split testing of the pitching, all the variables around the pitching, the people, are you pitching to the right audience, the channel of the pitching, the content of the pitch itself, the way you follow up, and all that. There's a whole lot to learn before you make a conclusion that it doesn't work. I hope that's helpful. Okay.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much.
Okay. Can you guys take more? Do we touch on the people thing a little bit, or, can you guys take more? Just give me some sense of what's going on. Or if somebody has some more questions, specific questions to your business, something you want me to help you with, then you can ask. Otherwise, I can run through a couple of slides, on the people problem solving if you want. I think we have like 14 minutes left. So somebody type in the chat, okay?
Good evening.
Yeah, hello, Kathy.
Yes, I know you've talked about the employee compensation bits.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still wrapping my head around it. What if, the kind of stuff that you desire, that would bring about that quality and change to the organization, but maybe you can afford to pay them, because they're talking of compensation now, like, you need to compensate them very well. So basically, hiring and retaining good hands.
Mm-hmm.
And not just, people that are like management tier level that are actually driving change in the organization, and not the general workforce that, you have a structure to say, do this, and, just follow a certain checklist. But people that are actually going to, also act as some sort of, some sort of change for you to also ask questions and demand, why do we do this, or why can't we do this, where you're not just only the top tier person, something like that. So how do you attract and retain? And, I don't know if I can afford to pay at this level. So that's my question.
Again, when it comes to recruiting, always focus on value rather than can I pay them? Now, this is subtle, but it's very powerful. It's subtle, but it's very powerful, because we had somebody who participated in the Stanford Seed program in Accra, a company. These guys hired far above their pay grade. They hired somebody from Stanford. They hired a Stanford MBA. And for those of you who know what a Stanford or Harvard MBA, costs, I think that you have an idea about what I'm talking about. Now, but these guys came and they developed a program and a project that attracted, I do not know, within 3 months. I don't remember whether this guy said it was $1 billion or billion cities. I think it's either anywhere there is a B is something. And this thing won 3 billion. 3 billion cities is a lot of money, within the 3 months, is it 3 months or something that the intern worked over there together with this other Stanford MBA. The difference that one employee can make is incredible. When you think that the person is of value, don't think in terms of what you're going to pay. Think in terms of the value that this individual will be bringing to your organization. So it's going to, first of all, ease your mind around, can I pay this person? Now, Tara that does, a line of cosmetics, is it?
Makeup, yeah.
Makeup or something. Tara was in exactly the same situation. Tara, very small business at the time, pulled somebody from Shell, somebody who was working in Shell. She said when she was doing it, her heart was beating. It's like, look, if I sell everything in this place, I can't pay this woman. She said, but there are many ways to attract people, like that. Tara pulled somebody from Shell. And then according to her story, that made all the difference in their business. Many of us are just one employee away from blowing up our business. But the more you continue to keep yourself in the fear that I can't pay this person or I can't pay somebody at this level. It's same thing with coaching and consulting. I can't pay at this level. So people remain in that same situation 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. When what one employee can bring, the value that an employee can bring into your company in 1 year, the right employee at that level, in 1 year, you will not be able to make it in 5 years. So you can't underestimate the importance of just having correct talent, in the organization, and then being able to pay them, Think in terms of the value. When you're thinking about it like it's a cost, it's a problem. But when you actually think of this thing as a profit driver, a growth opportunity for the company, then it's very easy to process. And you can find them. Many times, these talents at that level are not looking for money. There are reasons why there are people who can actually move down from Canada, from Europe, from the US, as I talk to you, to come work for you. There are many people like that. And I meet people like that in the US. Well, they know that the Naira is very weak and things like that. But there are some of them who want to actually come home for a reason and then do other things. So many times, structuring their compensation based on your research and understanding of what is it that actually motivates people. What is the meaning that they have attached to their lives? What is important, to this individual? What do they want to do? Maybe the guy wants to build a house and settle in Nigeria. Yeah, you can do that and put it as part of the, the package. So I hope that helps, Kafia. I think it's just changing that mindset, just having that understanding that the difference one employee can make can fast forward the performance of your organization, the performance, the profitability of your business by 5 years, by 7 years. then when you realize that, I think it keeps you in the mindset to hunt. It's better you employ one person that you're paying 2 million a month than you that knows the business and that can bring in checks of 200 million. Then that you say, okay, 2 million, let's break it down and bring 10 people or 20 people who we can pay 100,000, but who will not be able to hit the same thing.
Thank you very much. Very profound. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Lito said that we should touch on people. All right, we have just a couple of minutes. So let me show you something about people. Just few slides about what I've been thinking, because in my work in recent times, this is why I focused on people. I do more now on developing people than developing strategy, but they all go together, because I find that if I can solve the people problems organizations are having, I can actually do a lot for businesses in this part of the world. So instead of just talking about all the issues, come on, I need to be able to share this. Okay. So I just try to cobble some thoughts together. I'm still developing these thoughts, but I think in subsequent encounters with you, I'll continue to develop these ideas and these thoughts about people, challenges, and businesses. And then if you look at your traditional economics, what you've been told, to be the factors of production, land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, literally, all of this, people undergird all of this. It's not just labor. It's not just labor. People make these things happen, right? So it's impossible. Even now they're talking about AI and things like that. It's going to be difficult to actually replace people. Machines can do a lot. They can do in certain settings much better, perform much higher, more efficiently than human beings, but we are always going to need that human touch. So thinking about the different types of problems, there are generally, 6 classifications of business problems. And the reason I'm introducing it from this philosophical viewpoint is so that you'll be able to situate where the people problems in your business arise from. When you're able to situate it, it makes it very, you become calmer in terms of how you solve these problems. I can send you these slides because you don't have time to talk about it, but basically there are routine, non-routine, wicked problems, vicious, complex, moral dilemma, and the people problems in business sometimes manifest in these 6 different areas, but they are more difficult when they manifest as vicious, because you're having these people problems all the time. A vicious problem has obvious solutions, but they create bigger problems, all right? So employee problems can be vicious. One particular example is one of my clients, and I'm leading their retreat again in February, mid-February. Now, a couple of years ago, he had issues, just trying to recruit HR manager. He looked for HR manager for a very long time. Then he now employed this lady who came from a very big company, from a very big FMCG. You all know that company, Flour Mills. He recruited this lady from there. But barely weeks after the recruitment, it was obvious that she couldn't perform. He sacked her, brought in another person. the problems are continuing. He's still looking for HR. So it's a vicious problem. Sometimes can be very complex. Like now, there's a Jackpot phenomenon. People are leaving. Then it's also complicated by the fact that our universities are not honestly producing people who we can use. So when we understand the people problem that we are having, then again, there are also cultural issues in this part of the world, that affects the conversation on compensation on employees, because it looks to me like people, the way the culture has been shifting significantly and it's affecting recruitment. Because in the 1970s, I still remember the work ethic was very strong. In 1980s, yeah, it weakened a little bit, especially after Babangida. The work ethic was very, very strong, because I still remember our primary school teachers in the 70s, extremely committed. Our secondary school teachers in the 80s, extremely committed. They taught, they did the job, not for money. They did it because they really loved it. But from the 90s and then 2000s, our work ethic has been changing. And we seem to have a generation that wants to do the minimum work for the maximum money. I don't understand, and I don't know if I'm the only one who has noticed it, but we do have this generation. They want to do very tiny, but their tastes are very, very high. So it makes recruiting very complex and complicated. I also saw this thing in another country in Africa. And then it was getting very difficult, for these countries, for the companies running food business in this particular country to find locals that they could employ. Okay. And so now most of the food businesses in that country are recruiting Filipinos, because the locals are lazy. They want more money and they just do the work anyhow. Very poor work ethic. But the Filipinos, they come in here. They take the pay, not as much, but they deliver service. So it's complicated. And then I have another client in Abuja, okay, who has ties, he has partners in some Lebanese partners. Because in fact, he tells me that when it comes to hotel business and then food business, that Lebanese are probably the #1 in the world. So every time he goes to Lebanon, he spends time with these people, and the guys are just incredible in cooking. And he said to my client said to him, why don't you come over to Nigeria? Come to Abuja, come to Nigeria and set up this thing. You will make a very big kill. And the question he asked me is, who will be the people working? You can see the people who work with me and how they work. So we seem to have a work ethic degradation, a work ethic issue. People are not working because they really, they're giving the best of themselves, and then they're putting meaning into what they're doing, but they're just doing it to make like a quick kill. So you have to understand the complexity of the problem. So it's not just about, okay, you want to hire somebody to come into the company. The 7 steps to solving problem, like these complex problems or vicious or wicked problems, is the same for the employee problems in your business. So basically what I'm trying to do is bringing the competency, the skills in one area, in one management area, which is problem solving, bringing it directly to match it with employees. So it's an idea I'm still developing. And then over the coming weeks and months, I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about that, so that instead of just saying, okay, this is the problem that we're having issues with recruitment or with retention, how do we develop a framework instead of managing the employee problems case by case, but we have a framework for identifying and defining what problem exactly, what is this you know, like if you do a root cause analysis, say, all right, the problem is we can't recruit. We're finding it very difficult to recruit good talent. Then you ask yourself why, the first why. And then it might be, okay, we're finding it difficult because we don't have qualified people. Then you ask why. By the time you ask why 5 to 7 times, you'll be able to identify the root cause and then know exactly, you know, what to do. All right. So it might be that the root cause is just what I've told you, that there's a very major shift in work culture, in work ethic culture in this part of the world. Then you can now start seeing that it's not just about collecting people's CVs. It's about how can you find a pool, and where can you find a pool of people with a combination of all these things, and especially work ethic. And then skills you can always train, but in terms of attitude and work ethic, you can't go low on that. So for recruitment, focus on work ethic, focus on attitude. Don't be asking people, where did you go to school, what class of degree, and things like that. You know, many of these things, you know, people do, you can find on the internet, but skills, but attitude, character, work ethic. If people have character and they have work ethic, there's no training you can give them. There's no training you can give them, and then they will pick it. But if you bring somebody who has incredible degree, class, and certificate, and all those glowing things, but the person lacks character, even just one act of one mistake, one problem, integrity problem, will kill your whole business, even though the guy is very good. I recommended somebody, it's a place I worked many years ago. And then each time they want, actually, I can tell you, SOS Children's Village. So each time that they had a need in SOS Children's Village, because of my relationship with them and because of the way I worked with them, they will normally call me. They will advertise. But when Mrs. Da Silva will call me and say, all right, we need, but do you know somebody who can do this work? And I recommend they cancel all the interviews and just take mine. Do you know, I recommended a gentleman there. Very, very good, you know, competent and things like that. He went there and did something. It was terrible. He just did something. Up to today, SOS students, they don't talk to me. They stopped asking me for recommendations because of that one person. So you recruit, work ethic, attitude, character. Those are the things you should be looking for here in Nigeria. And it's not as rare. It's not as rare as you might think. But you see, you can't find what you're not looking for. You can actually write that statement down. I had it in my meditation this morning. You cannot find what you're not looking for. Therefore, it still comes to you, comes back to you, the way you think and process this thing is affecting the way it's hitting you. So you have to have very clearly in your mind the kind of people you want to work with you. You have to have them in your mind, fix them in your mind, and then your reticular activation system will find those people. You find what you're looking for. So if you don't know what you're looking for, you won't find it. Therefore, define exactly who you want. And before you know it, the thing appears. I think, wasn't it your class I was telling, I don't know if it's your class I told, you know, how reticular activation system works, you know, the same thing you use for recruiting. And I've used it, it has really worked very well, you know, for me. You visualize exactly who you want. And okay, so this is how it works. Tomorrow, if you decide that you are going to buy a red, let's say, you know, one funny color that you haven't seen, you know, just something as absurd as like, okay, black Toyota Corolla, because I haven't seen black Toyota Corolla. Now, but you wake up tomorrow morning and say, okay, you want to buy black Toyota Corolla. All of a sudden, from your house to the next 10 kilometers, you'll be seeing, I'm just using an example, weird example, you see black Toyota Corolla. That's the way it works. So when you define exactly who you want, then attraction becomes very easy. It comes from recommendation. You know, the young man working for me now, I attracted him, and then 2, 3 different individuals long before he actually started with me, before I met him, before I knew who he was. 2 or 3 different individuals at different times, different problems. I told them, this is the kind of person I want. All of a sudden, this lady said, oh, just give the name. Then at another occasion, I was speaking with another man, and then the man said, oh, this is the person. Give exactly the same name. So it works. I hope that helps for a start. Don't you think work ethic degradation is fueled by poor remuneration and poor incentives? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Our parents didn't earn a lot of money, but they didn't do wrong. So no, poor remuneration and poor incentives do not cause work ethic degradation. If somebody is a thief, no matter how much, if somebody is corrupt inside, no matter how much you give the person will still, if the person has a wrong work ethic, no matter how much you pay the person will still do wrong. We had people in Chevron. There's one that's probably still in American jail. They caught him with, in those days, $40,000 on him. And he was a colleague in Chevron, and he was traveling. $40,000 they found on him, and it was strange because all this much money and things like that. Then, of course, trust the American border, whatever, patrol. They went into some serious, whatever, interrogations and all that. And it turned out that he had more hidden in his house in Port Harcourt, and he was in accounting. And then as at that time, Chevron actually paid far better than Shell. So it wasn't about compensation. There are people in Chevron stealing. There are people in Shell defrauding the company every day as I'm talking to you. So it has nothing to do with that. Yeah, Charles said our parents had dignity in labor. Today, without money, they feel they have no dignity. It's terrible. We kind of made, when Nigeria started spoiling, the time that we made money the god of Nigeria. Forget everything that people are telling you about all this God. The God that Nigerians are worshiping is money, unfortunately. And then Christ said you can't worship Mammon and God at the same time, but Nigerians worship money. In the church, they worship money. In the mosque, they worship money. Everywhere, money. People do all kinds of things for money now. So I don't think it's because of the poor remuneration, architect innocent. I don't think that's why. If people are corrupt inside, no matter how much money you give them, they will still do that. Okay, so define your employee problem. And then this is something you can use as an issue tree. I will share this with you so I can take, if there's one more question or something, I can share this with you, but basically these are problem solving tools, like the 5 whys and all that. This is an example. Okay, so I hope these thoughts are helpful. There are things I'm still processing because the people problem around us is a lot. I've also developed a checklist for structuring a business. We are appointing in my business a new auditor, a really, really very, very experienced auditor, works for some multinationals and big organizations. And then the conversations I had with him a couple of days ago was so revealing, so revealing. Structuring our businesses, they're just very simple things that we could easily ignore. So over the week, I developed a checklist of all the things that must be in place, for us to structure. And usually what I do is I develop a framework and I use it myself and then test it on my own business and then refine it, before delivering it to others. So at some point, I'm going to share that checklist of what it takes to structure your business and to create systems so that the business can survive. Because I noticed the challenge that many of our businesses have. Okay, so this is where I feel like bringing it to landing. But if there's one more burning question, we can take that, and then we can I can let us to go rest. Okay, thank you, Charles. Thank you. Any more question? All right. Someone has suggested that we keep the group. Yeah, but if we're keeping it, let's make it very specifically for just, the leadership theme that we've already started, and then when I have some information to give you or some things to share, we can do that. But otherwise, it's been a great pleasure interacting with you, getting to know some of you, and then hopefully getting to know some of you a bit more deeper, what you do, and then to be able to support you and help you to grow big businesses, because my mission is to become a unicorn and then to raise other unicorns, so that together we can transform the spiritual, the economic, the political landscape of this continent. And I'm glad to have you as partners to be able to do that. So one final thing is we're going to be sending you, at least by tomorrow morning, we'll get Williams to can stay up a couple of minutes to put the survey together, just 2 or 3 questions to let us know, because the feedback is always important to us, so that we know how we can do things better, and then also help us to know like how best we can continue to help you. So we send you a very short feedback form. Please, everyone, do get a chance to do it. Yes, you will have the video recording for tonight. And Williams, also, please do share is Williams still here? I noticed that his internet was bumping in and out. All right. So the revenue hackathon. Okay. So the link to the revenue hackathon 1.0. Please share with them. We are having the revenue hackathon 3.0, our 3rd edition of revenue hackathon. Actually, it's 4th, because last year we did 2 editions. I think there was 2.0, 2.1 or something like that, where we're having 3.0 on May 6th. So I would like you to mark your calendar for May 6th. That's when we focus entirely on revenue generation and then cash flow. Yeah, so Williams, please do share the, maybe as soon as this night, the link to the revenue hackathon, the free bonus that we had promised before, so they can have access to it. Stella, when should you expect the slides? Actually, you can get the slides tonight, but the video would be available maybe later in the week, when I get to a more stable internet. I'm actually in the village right now, but I'll be in Lagos to work with a client on Tuesday. So we can have it by that Tuesday or Wednesday. Thank you so very much, everyone. Thank you so very much. I pray God's blessings on your business, and that your dreams and this financial year will be very, very impactful. And that, in fact, you do far better this year than you've ever done all the years put together. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, sir.
All right.